Hey guys, so I didn't watch Masters of the Universe Revolution yet, which is the second season, spin-off, continuation of Revelation. But I did hear what Clownfish TV had to say about it. And mostly Geeky Sparkles, who's been doing most of the discussion videos on it up to the recent spoiler review she did. And in that spoiler review, she did have Kneon. But the reason Kneon didn't want to have anything to do with it was basically because of the fact that Kevin Smith had blocked him, and mostly the fact that he didn't trust anything Smith would say or his team would say, when it came to the show. And also the fact that, hey, growing up, as a kid, I think in the late 80s, mid 80s, 90s, whatever, he knew about He-Man. And basically, the He-Man he thought, and we all thought we would get with Revelation, did not come to be. Instead, it was something totally different. So because of all that, he did not want to have anything to do with discussing, the show. And that's where Geeky came in. And she did a great job, in my opinion, kind of talking about the news and everything that's going on with it. So anyway, like I said, I didn't watch it just yet. But they did, of course, do a spoiler. And I wanted to know exactly, kind of get a clue as to, whether or not what, they had received recently. Because apparently in one of the videos before this, one of the Masters of the Universe videos that Geeky did before this, her and Kneon had received an anonymous tip, if you will, about what was going to be, in the show. Like what, significant moments and characters and situations were going to happen. And with the exception of maybe one or two moments, mostly everything this anonymous person gave them from a tip perspective turned out to be true. With a few, a few exceptions, like I said, here and there. Like some things didn't come true, and the things that did, they happened, but not in the way they were described. But still, it was one of those situations to once again, here's Clownfish TV, here's people like Yellow Flash, Geeks and Gamers, here's all these people that did not like what they did with Revelation, getting these clues, hearing these rumors about, Revolution and what will be, what's going to happen, and all of a sudden here they are once again, not as much as last time, but almost close to it, being proven right. Now, the reason with Revelation, in case you guys don't know, that, Clownfish TV was kind of like in the center of that, especially with the Kevin Smith situation, is because they knew somebody on Revelation that was close to production, provided them with, scripts and everything, or at least outlines of what was going to happen. And outside of what people already knew about from PowerCon, they were given more information, that being Clownfish, Geeky, and Kneon. And they would tell people, look, this is what's going to happen. And they passed it on to people like Yellow Flash. They passed it on to other people, here on YouTube. And, those same people, they looked into it to make sure, what they were hearing was true. And, eventually it, did turn out to be true, what they were hearing. And a lot of people didn't want to hear this. And Kevin Smith, most of all, called out Clownfish TV for what they were saying, basically saying, no, that's not true. They're lying. There's a lot of He-Man. There's this, there's that. And then when Revelation came out, it just proved people like, Geeky and Kneon of Clownfish, Yellow Flash, and everybody else that heard otherwise, they were pointing this out and saying, yeah, this is not right. This, you shouldn't be doing this. It just proved them right. It just proved them correct. And it made, Kevin Smith, get egg on his face. To the point that when this second season, if you will, or this third chapter, as it's called, or third part, that's how Wikipedia puts it, was being developed, Netflix had gone to Kevin Smith, and I'm assuming it's when he was filming his, new Clerks movie, Clerks 3 or something, or new Jay and Bob, Silent Bob J movie. And, they told him, look, as soon as we get ready to release this on Netflix, you're going to go on an apology tour. And why did he have to go on an apology tour? To basically apologize for lying and being caught lying about the fact that, well, essentially what a lot of people said turned out to be true. You know, what Clownfish said turned out to be true. What Yellow Flash had heard and said, and Midnight said, all turned out to be true. You know, they weren't too thrilled with it. And look, you know, being somebody that grew up on the original He-Man, when you promote this as sort of a continuation somewhat to the original Filmation series, then a lot of people are going to expect you to have everything stay true to what it is, or to what that was. And the exact opposite happened. The exact opposite happened, so now you have Kevin Smith having to go on this apology tour for what he did, for basically lying and not saying, yeah, this is gonna kind of what happened, so I'm just preparing you right now, You know, he had to go on this apology tour to apologize for what happened, so that way people who may not want to give Revolution a shot or anything, he could try to convince them, hey, what we did in Revelation, it's not going to happen here in Revolution. And what credit is due, even Geeky said this, it is slightly better in story, in presentation, animation, still top notch, it's powerhouse animation, So, there is a slight improvement, but a lot of things that, like I said, they were given by this anonymous person, recently, kind of with a few exceptions, and a few maybe differences, but from what they were told, but pretty much was the same. But pretty much was what they were told, but slightly different. Basically, turned out to be true. For example, one of the biggest speculations and spoilers they were given, from this anonymous person, was at the end of this 5-episode series, which it was 5 episodes, kind of building maybe to a fourth chapter or a spin-off, which is probably She-Ra inspired, maybe. One of the major spoilers for the end, or at least 2 of them, you were going to have, I think it was the name, Zodak or something, suddenly come in, and Lynn was going to be made, I guess you could say, a demigod, or whatever the equivalent is, close to like an apprentice to Zodak, or Zodia, whatever his name is. She was going to be pretty much put into, association, like, a keeper, a helper of his or something. And then the other thing that got talked about was, that got spoiled, I should say, in this anonymous tip to them, that being Clownfish TV, was at the end of it, Adam, being king, was going to denounce his role as king and turn the monarchy into a democracy. And that way, people could vote on who they want to lead the new Eternia, pure Eternia, whatever you call it, free Eternia. I can't think of the name right now. Basically, Eternia as it once was, purified and everything. And, surprise, surprise, one of the first characters, and Geeky didn't know about this. She didn't know about this. All she knew was the democracy part was going to happen. The one character that got controversially, looked at, in Revelation, and became somewhat of a controversial annoyance, because she'd always have to constantly remind people, according to what Geeky said, that, oh, I'm the new man-at-arms, I'm man-at-arms, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, despite the fact that she looked like, according to Geeky, looked like an idiot for being duped by Skeletor in the disguise of Keldor to infect the populace with this virus, with this, cybernetic virus, if you will. Andrea decides she wants to be a leader. She wants to be the one that kind of like runs for office, the lead office and everything. And honestly, Kneon, upon the moment he heard this, he's like, oh, you got to be, his reaction basically was, you got to be effing kidding me. But, Geeky wasn't. And I don't think anybody else that saw it would disagree with that either, because that's apparently what happens. But yeah, Revolution overall was a slight improvement, but there's a lot of things in there that just, still don't make sense. It's like, it's basically like, it's like, how can Andrea, how can Andrea, and I guess she does later on, but how does she not realize what she's doing is helping Skeletor in disguise? How does she not realize that? Is it, how does she not realize that? It's like, how did she go from who she was in Revelation to what she became in Revolution? You see, that's the one thing that was kind of off to a lot of folks. And then, of course, what they did to Castle Grayskull and everything, affecting it, and the look and the ridiculous look it gave, they gave it. It's like, what the hell? Again, there were some moments in there. There were moments in there that was spoiled, by this anonymous person, the Clownfish TV. I will provide a link at the end of the video here, so you guys could check it out yourself. A little annotation, at the end. But overall, Revolution was apparently, and again, I haven't seen it yet, I'm just going off what I heard, was a slight improvement. With a few exceptions here and there. But, here's what's interesting though. It seems that despite the improvements and some of the spoiling and some of the still questionable, things that they did, they still find a way to kind of screw things up. They do. Because apparently there's some contradicting between Revelation and Revolution and the comic by Dark Horse is based on it. There's some contradicting, like, about Skeletor's origins and who he really is. Is he Keldor, the lost brother or stepbrother of Randolph? Or, is he from a world of, living skeletons, a demon skeleton? Is he that? And the show contradicts, what the comic has said. So there are some slight things that, even with something that's supposed to be based in the same, continuity, same context, there are situations to where even that gets, pretty much befuddled, pretty much, disarranged, if you will. But give credit where credit is due. If this is slightly an improvement over Revelation, that's good. That's good, because yes, you got more He-Man. Yes, you got more Adam, and that was necessary, originally. That was necessary originally, with the last one. So you got that made up here. That's good. That's good and everything. But again, there are some moments in there that apparently did not sit well with a lot of viewers. Well, at least that all depends on their opinion. Did it sit well with them? Did they like it or not? But from what I'm understanding, I'm sure a lot of people that have downvoted the trailer, the final trailer and everything. Probably feel exactly the way Clownfish and others feel, like, yeah, slight improvement, but still there's this issue here, there's this issue of, what the heck, what were you thinking, or why are you contradicting yourself with the comic that's supposed to be based on this as a prequel, and so on. It's one of those situations to where it's like, if you're going to continue something in a soft continuous way, if you will, then what you need to do is make sure that you keep what you're trying to do a soft continuation of true to what the original was, and that's it. You need to do that. Or unless you're going to lose the story, you're going to lose the audience, you're going to lose the plot, basically. And you're going to cause mass confusion. I mean, one of the things they talked about here was the fact that when He-Man got his final armor, Adam got his final armor as He-Man, and especially for the final battle, that he, Tila, Andrea, Man-at-Arms, you know, they all pretty much got outfits similar to that other He-Man Masters of the Universe CGI show that Netflix put out about a year or two ago. And it's like, well, what is this? Why is the armor similar to that show? And apparently, I guess the person at Netflix and at Mattel wants to connect them. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he wants to connect, you know, some kind of like multiverse cinematic, you know, deal with it. You know, they want to do a multiverse cinematic like connection. Okay, fine. But if that's the case, then why didn't you hint at that maybe in that CGI show? Now, I haven't seen the CGI show, but still, if that was the case, you know, you should have hinted at it there. You know, but they didn't. And guess what? That apparently was made for a younger audience. It's probably no wonder they couldn't do that. But still, it's like, you know, this happens, and it's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And the other thing people have brought up is maybe it's because the guy that was, you know, representative of Netflix that has both of these shows probably didn't want to, you know, make one so different from the other, want to have that connection, you know. So maybe that's why, make it more familiar, maybe for the younger fans that were going to watch it, you know, that watch the CGI shows, like, oh, let's just give them the same kind of armor. Okay, but you're implying maybe to that younger audience that, you know, this He-Man and this Tila are one and the same as the other one, you know, as those from the CGI. It's just there's a lot of mixed reactions, you know, to this, you know, to this second season, to this this third chapter, if you will, this third part of the Netflix Masters of the Universe soft continuation of the Filmation series. You know, just a lot of mixed reactions and everything. And apparently they did leave us on a cliffhanger. Well, we got the reveal of Despera. We got the reveal of Horde Prime. And it looks like they're setting up for either a fourth chapter for Masters of the Universe, fourth season, or third season of Masters of the Universe, or they're setting up for potentially a spin-off for She-Ra. We're not really sure yet. But yeah, this one of those situations to where slight improvement, but still got a long ways to go. But let me know what your thoughts are. Based on what I've said, you know, from someone that hasn't seen it yet, what are your thoughts on Revolution? Revolution. What were your thoughts on it if you saw it? Or if you haven't seen it, what are your thoughts on it based on what others had to say? Let me know down in the comments as well as in the live chat during the premiere. Like the video, and until next time, guys, I am out.